We are coming to you live, recorded, from the Solvent Direct studio in Las Vegas, Nevada during MJ BizCon Week 2023. This is our first panel of Symposium Day, and I don't know, it's the boss panel. It's the first of many boss panels. When I put this together, my concept was that equipment is great, but if it's not usable, it's not usable. People are great, but if they can't be trained to processes that make sense, it doesn't matter. If we don't have processes, it doesn't matter if you have great equipment and great people, they can't do their jobs right. And I feel like each of you brings something different to the table about it. And I want to start with my friend Patrick. Patrick King, would you introduce yourself and talk to me about what you're doing with Vetted Better that addresses some of this?
Yeah. My name's Patrick King, and Vetted Better is a recruiting firm where we take a data-driven approach to laboratory and analytical facilities recruitment needs. And the way we do that is we go through their processes, equipment, and also what products and where they're trying to go with their business. And then we have experienced recruiters that have built out laboratories, sold them both in the cannabis and the pharma space, doing the recruiting for the client. So that's kind of what sets us apart, is really understanding the lab space well from tech level, director, and C-level.
When you hear about that, TJ, you're going to introduce yourself and then answer this for me. When you hear Patrick talk about getting high quality people into the right positions, as an equipment manufacturer, as a service provider, like how do you meet that person, that guy or gal in the lab who just got that job? They belly up to your equipment, like what happens? Right?
Well, it's a good question. Because,
come close to the mic for me.
Without a standard operating procedure to follow, you're kind of recreating the wheel every time. And, you know, when you're in a production, the last thing you want to be doing is R&D. And so having the system in place that, you know, I mean, you have folks that come in and out of, you know, job positions for various reasons. And, you know, people get sick, you know, we're not robots. So having something where you can have multiple, you know, even a primary or secondary shift, and somebody who's aware, trained can come in and pick up, or somebody left off. I mean, that's vital to run any business. So finding qualified candidates is, you know, something you obviously, you want to have somebody that's competent to run equipment, but you need to have the equipment that's capable of being simple to handle, you know, I mean, people, process, product, you know, in that order. And it's pretty important to have, you know, in a system.
I know you love talking about your work, but tell me who you are.
My name's TJ. We're an original equipment manufacturer, the original Resinator. We make equipment that does biomass reduction, trichome collection. We trim product, and we also make bubble hash, all in one piece of equipment. We use liquid CO2 and liquid nitrogen as freezing agents, assisting us in this process. And it's just taken us down some incredible pathways when it comes to how many SKUs you can develop, you know, by diversifying your portfolio, by understanding the pathway between the product that you're starting with, you know, anything that's post-harvest, but pre-processing is kind of our niche. That's where we live.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
The hard way, you know.
That's because there's no easy way in cannabis. That's the answer. Corey, when we're talking about getting the right people into the spot, getting the right equipment, sample automation, it would be easy to think that, you know, everything's automated, so you don't really need operators. I don't imagine that's the case. Introduce yourself and then tell me a little bit about it.
My name's Corey Crosser. I'm with Sample Automation, head of the R&D there. And, you know, we developed new products that kind of were solutions to existing cannabis problems, but we wanted to give full control to the operators to run their recipes. You know, we wanted to automate jar tech, but not take away any of the ability of the chef to create their master recipe in it, right? So we wanted to give them the ability to reproduce that every single time, but also collect data in their process so they know that what's going on behind the jar, or in the jar, I should say.
Right. I'm going to, unpopular opinion, are you ready for it? Jar tech is today's open blasting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I really feel like it is. And I feel like it's not a good look for us. And it's not a good look for like people coming up who are doing this stuff. Like there's got to be a way. Patrick, talk to me about it. I mean, you've done a lot of work in your career on equipment that solves problems in cannabis that used to be more dangerous.
Yeah, I think, one thing that's being touched on is really people, and like with Corey and their company, the automation, what you're seeing across like equipment SKUs, from basically your initial extraction to your post-processing to your filling and packaging, more and more automation is coming. And I think that's going to alleviate a lot of the issues more on the tech side, because right now you still have a lot of user interaction with a lot of processes and machines. So over time, I think as we see more automation, you'll have a little more flexibility as an owner of a facility on the tech side. What'll really matter is more, you're going to need more technical people when these machines or the software has issues. Then right now, people that run the equipment the best sometimes are wrench turners, guys that are more mechanically inclined are some of your best process guys. So we might see that shift over time, especially on, more of your actual production staff.
Yeah. Corey, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, always listen to the operators. I think they're the forefront of the innovation in the industry as well, because they're making the product every day and they notice the little nuanced changes on where to improve. So I think it's important to automate the process and make their job as easy as possible, but also always allow that room for continuous improvement and the ability to tweak their process by really understanding their process better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. TJ, one of the things you and I were talking about earlier was just what a solid team you have. What a freaking solid team you have. And I talk about just as an employer, as a manager, as an owner, how do you build a team like that? How do you get people? Because here's something that's difficult, and maybe after you speak, Patrick, you could pick up here. It's really hard to put the money and the time into cultivating an employee, training them, raising them up, and then they leave and they go get another job.
Yeah.
It's a lot of outlay. It's a lot of money that you spend. How do you build a team and then keep a team once you have them?
It's funny, you were talking about the conversation we were having earlier, and one of the topics of that was the nature of the family vibe that this industry cultivates. And it's really cool because when we're in this cannabis space, like a lot of us, we were all criminals, that maybe still are by some definitions. And so to cultivate kind of an atmosphere where, you enjoy what you do. We have to love what we do. And I think that's a big part that we're lucky to have people that are so passionate about the plant and the industry and be advocates for something that's, we're revolutionizing the space and we're innovating daily. So,
Okay, put a pin in that. Speaking of innovating daily, how big's your freeze dryer?
Yeah.
How big's your freeze dryer?
You know what I
Not
mean?
that size is everything, but it freaking matters in this one. Tell me.
How about a 40-foot container?
Yeah.
How about 40,000 pounds annually throughput?
Yeah.
Because live dried is the future.
Right.
And so that's where we're tapping into that innovation. And that's the essence of, if you aren't innovating, right? You tapped into a minute ago, Corey, talking about, to me, there's a mindset, a difference between an engineer and a technician. Because the engineer is going to say, this is why it should work. And a technician is going to say, well, this is why it won't. And so to have the mindset to take that input from not only the guy that's running the machine, but the clients that are out there, and to be able to incorporate that into a product you're developing, it's a symbiotic kind of relationship. And that innovation and that open communication is a critical component to be able to continue to pioneer. Otherwise, you just stay in the past, and we have to open minds and think about how do we maximize our systems? How do we, create scalability? How do we become more efficient in our process so that we can actually be profitable? Because at the end of the day, we all got bills to pay.
Yeah.
And how do you keep employees? You make sure their checks are there on time.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
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 That's probably number one.
That's it. I want to go Corey, and then I want to go Patrick. He brought you up, so you get, it's like presidential debate rules. If he says your name, you get to go next.
Yeah, I think it's, we're learning. It's a new industry. Even though it's been around. I've been growing for 20 years, whatever. But it's
even
still
been
new.
around longer than
and
that.
Processing, yeah, well, obviously long before, thousands of years. Right?
There we go.
But I think that it's, every couple months, there's new tech coming out. There's something new going on. And it's important to always be open-minded to, there's something out there that's going to be better, and let's keep pushing that. And, listening to everybody that has the input that says, hey, let's try this. Let's try something new.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I love that. Where do people fit in? How do you find the people that are in the right spot, Patrick? How do you do it?
Well, I think touching on more, how do you keep people?
Yeah.
Because that's finding people, that's one part of it. But to build a stable company and to build a company that's going to innovate and grow well, you need to have a strong core team. So like we always tell our clients, we advise them, and, some people listen, some people don't, but basically approaching it where you actually stand by those values of caring about your employees, your team members, giving them the capabilities to innovate and not have a stale work culture. Because that's what happens a lot of times in not just the lab space, the grow space, the lab space. A lot of things get stale. And if you let them get stale, you're not going to have an innovative staff that's thinking of things. How do we make this more efficient? How do we maybe come up with a product that we should present management? And I think another key thing is you have to have honesty. There's a lot of dishonesty in this industry on employment packages, false promises of equity and different things for a lot of individuals. So I think as an industry, we have to fix that. And people need to be motivated to grow with the company. So it has to be a combination, of a whole rounded package to really get the right team.
Yeah, agreed. You can find the right person, but if you're not willing to do what you need to do to keep them, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. As we're thinking about wrapping this up, I want you to make sure everyone knows how to get a hold of you. And I would just encourage people that are listening that these are resources, like not just bosses, not just owners, but these are resources. The reason that your companies are successful is not just because your equipment is good, right? And Patrick knows that. Can't just be about your equipment being good. It also has to be about the service and the support that's wrapped around it. And it really comes down to it being the people. So I would encourage people who are listening to use you as resources. Make sure people know how to get in touch with you, and then I will release you back to the show floor. Although, isn't this a better vibe than the show floor, honestly? I know you have to get back there, but make sure people know how to get in touch with you.
Once again, I'm Corey Crosser with Sample Automation. We'll be at booth 4444. You can follow me on Instagram, Corey Crosser. Pretty straightforward.
You have a website, probably?
We will have a rosin reactor website coming up, but sampleautomation.com has all our equipment there.
Awesome.
Please reach out.
Thanks, Corey. TJ?
Well, of course, Good Life Gang and affiliates of Good Life Gang. That's, it's a collective, and there's a lot. It's a powerhouse. There's a reason that we're here and we all collaborate. I'm TJ with the Original Resinator. You can find us at the resinator.com. We're also the Original Resinator on Instagram. And we also represent Industry Processing Solutions. That's our service arm of the industry. Reach out. We're here for your service processing needs. If you don't win, then, we're not winning.
Yeah. Thanks, TJ.
And my name again is Patrick. And the best places to reach us is vettedbetter.com, or you can also email me at patrick@vettedbetter.com. Our Instagram is the same thing, vettedbetter. So reach out on any of those channels, and we're happy to help you with your employment needs.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Kat.
Thank you.
Education, medication, all at its finest. Take the Good Life Game.